On here. Welcome to Designing a Profitable Menu, blending art with culinary science. And of course, you know me, all business problems are people problems. All those people problems are communication problems, usually lack of communication, improper communication, or unclear expectations. So if you want to fix that, you got to understand that is the heart of all the problems in your restaurant are usually your people problems. So let's go to rules real quick. If it's your first time on the webinar with me, rule number one, have some fun. Rule number two, take notes. Research has shown if you write stuff down in your own handwriting, you're 70% more likely to remember the information 30 days from now. And that's my goal. Number three, take action. If you don't apply what you've learned, you really haven't learned anything. Just remember that knowledge is not power. Application of knowledge is power. And then every once in a while during the presentation, you're going to hear me say those famous words, hashtag WTSD. What does that mean? Hashtag WTSD means write this shit down. That's the gold nuggets. If we've never met before, I am Donald Burns. I am the restaurant coach. I am a former restaurant owner. I always like to call myself a recovering restaurant owner. I've also been a consultant for big, huge billion-dollar brands, US Foods, Cisco Foods, Shamrock Foods. I was also a chef. When I had my own restaurants, I was a chef. My father trained me to be a chef. After I sold my restaurants, I was a chef with Wolfgang Puck, went around the country opening restaurants for Wolf. I'm also an author, most famously known for the Your Restaurant Sucks trilogy. My latest book came out, Savage Restaurant Success, and I have another book coming out probably in about another month. It's a little behind, but my next book's be called Ingredients. It's going to be another fun, great way to get you from where you are to where you want to be. And I'm also a former member of the U.S. Air Force pararescue teams. I was very, very fortunate to make the cut and make it through a special operations team called Pararescue in the Air Force. It was probably the most exhilarating, demanding, and challenging thing I ever been through in my whole life. But it also taught me so much about peak performance, about high level teamwork, and also about mindset, which a lot of times when people, sign up for coaching with me, you get a lot of special ops mindset work that you didn't think you needed, but you're going to get anyway. So now when I opened my first restaurant in 1995 at 30, I thought because I had experience in high school and college and working in my 20s in restaurants, I thought that's all you needed to open a restaurant, just to have some experience. Well, I quickly learned the hard way there's a big difference between running a restaurant and building a profitable brand. And my ego, my pride, and being in denial was stopping me from achieving any results. I just thought I could just outwork everything. I was very, very fortunate that a gentleman who was a regular at my restaurant, a local, who was a very, very successful businessman, reached out to me one night and said he wanted to have a talk. And he offered to teach me how to build a profitable business. And he described it like this. He said, if I gave you a 3-digit lock and said, open the lock, could you? And I said, no. He said, exactly. But if I gave you the combination, you can open the lock whenever you want. Now, here's the secret. And a lot of you know this. You have the combination already. You just don't have it in the right order, or you're working on the wrong things and you don't have everything in place that you need to have in place. What do I mean by that? The combination of restaurant success is this. It is people, product, process. The problem is most restaurants have the order wrong. What do I mean? Most people start off with product because every restaurant has a menu. And then they start, oh, I probably need some checklist. Oh, I probably need a P&L. Then they get a couple processes in place. Oh, and then they go back to the people part. Oh, we probably need to hire people better. We probably need to interview. We probably need to train people a little bit more. People feeds process, process feeds people. Every month, someone will call me and say, Donald, I'm frustrated. I'll say, why are you frustrated? They'll say, my team's not following the checklist. I'll say, what's wrong with the checklist? And they'll say, nothing. You gave me the checklist. I'll say, all right, well, if the process part is solid, look at the back end of the 3P framework. It's the people part. The culture's not set. They don't know why the checklist is important. They haven't bought into what your vision, your mission, your core values are. They have no sense of, commitment to your brand. It's just a bunch of mercenaries and it's a free-for-all. And then every month I'll have someone call me and say, Donald, I'm frustrated. I say, why are you frustrated? I say, well, I went home this afternoon to walk the dogs. I come back in, everyone's just standing around. These kids are on their phone, they're on TikTok, they're chatting with their friends. No one's doing any side work, no one's doing any deep cleaning. And I'll say, well, do you have processes in place? Do you have time checklists? 11 o'clock do this, 12 o'clock do this, 1 o'clock. No. But they should know what to do. It's common sense. Hashtag write this shit down. Common sense in the restaurant industry is not common. They need to be told what to do. Remember, all business problems are people problems. All people problems are communication problems. So people feeds process, process feeds people. When you have this kind of framework locked in and opened up every element in order, it will unlock the doors to high-level restaurant success. My Restaurant Accelerator is the #1 coaching program in the world for restaurants that want to break free from where they are to get to where they want to be. It will definitely show you how to make more money, work less hours in your restaurant. It is a step-by-step blueprint, roadmap. We give you the tools, we give you the training, and we give you the coaching to make it happen. Now, today's module, since we're talking about menus, is going to be right in the middle in the product part. We're going to talk about Extreme Menu Makeover. Now, Extreme Menu Makeover is an 8-hour workshop, just so you know. There's no way I can teach you everything in the Extreme Menu Makeover in an hour webinar, but I'm going to give you some really good pointers, some really good overviews, some really good gold nuggets that you can pick up and start implementing today. Because my goal is to give you some tools that you can actually pick up and use. Now, remember, this goes back to the rules we said. Don't just listen, take the tools and actually apply it. Okay. So let me ask you a question. What if your menu could do more than just list dishes that you serve? What if it could be your most powerful tool for boosting profits, streamlining operations, and also creating an unforgettable guest experience? Would that be great? That would be awesome. I love menu design. I love menu engineering. I love menu psychology because it's so easy to put points in the board. And when I say points in the board, I mean profits or dollars in your bank account. Okay. Start off with a quote. Good food is the foundation of happiness. I think we all can agree with that. But a well-designed menu is the key to unlocking it. Having a good menu is great. Having a profitable menu is better. Hashtag write that down. So if you want more money, right, you got to make sure you have everything in place. If you want more money, right, better have a highly profitable menu, right? Better have a profitable menu. That is the key. If you want more money, have a profitable menu. So today we're talking about menu design for profitability. This is where we're starting to blend this kind of art and science together. Now, creating a profitable menu isn't just about throwing a bunch of items on a bunch of random dishes on a piece of paper and hoping for the best. A profitable menu is an intentional, strategic process that's going to blend together the artistry of the culinary innovation with the precision of business financial security. I want you to think of your menu as your restaurant's silent salesperson. It is always there. And here's the thing, it must always entice, it must always captivate, and most importantly, it's got to make money. Remember, a menu isn't just a list of dishes. It is a carefully orchestrated experience that tells a story. And this story should reinforce your brand and ultimately provide guests to, actually persuades guests to open their wallets is what we want. But here's the reality. Many restaurants struggle with this balance. Either some people lean way too heavily on the creativity part and forget about the numbers, or they become the opposite, so cost-driven, and they're sacrificing their unique culinary vision for what draws people in. This imbalance is what causes restaurants to fail to maximize their profitability. Right? Everyone on this call has a menu. If your menu is making money or not, that's the #1 question we got to ask ourselves. So how do we craft a menu that not only resonates with our guests, but maximizes the bottom line? Well, we're going to break down the problem. We're going to explore the possibilities, and I'm also going to give you some principles. So the 4 problems you have. Oh, I tell you, this is kind of that art versus science dilemma. Restaurants are inherently creative spaces. But the thing you always remember is that a restaurant's also a business. Problems arise when the owners neglect one of these essential elements in favor for the other. It's easy to get up caught on the art side and on the science side. It's easy to get caught up in the creativity part or on the financial side. You got to make sure there's a nice little balance here. Okay. Now, I am a former chef, and I'll tell you, man, the culinary, creating avant-garde stuff, coming up with new dishes in the menu, in the kitchen, using exotic ingredients, man, that I love that shit. I love that shit. All right. But without having a strong financial backbone, all my creative stuff doesn't matter. Because that leads to a menu that underperforms in the number 1 category it should be performing in, that's profitability. Everyone here can create a menu that's popular, that people love. You can create food that people amaze. The problem is that a lot of times we don't balance it out with that business side and have a menu that actually makes us money. So some of the common problems, the 4 biggest problems we have is number 1, overly creative, underpriced dishes. Some chefs design menus with a focus on that, artistic expression. You're trying to suffocate my artistic expression. And they don't pay enough attention to the cost of the ingredients, the labor, or even the portion sizes. Here's the thing I want you to remember. Hashtag write this down. A beautifully designed plate might win you awards, but if it costs you more to produce than what it's charging, your business is in trouble. Right? That's problem number 1. Problem number 2, failure to leverage popular dishes. Restaurants often miss the opportunity by not highlighting their most profitable dishes or letting the menu design obscure high margin ones. We talk about menu design. We talk about stratification. There's an item on stratification when we do menu engineering. They're called puzzles. Puzzles are very, very profitable. They're just not popular. These are the items you want to promote, either through design on menus, using graphics to highlight them, or on your social media. When you fail to leverage popular dishes, you're not giving those items a chance to make you the money you want. Problem number 3, overcrowded menus. I see this so much. Too many options overwhelm your guest, and it will actually dilute your brand. We call this brand dilution. Right? When your menu's packed with dishes, it becomes harder to identify what's your signature, what are you really great at. Right? And another thing that we get this thing called paradox of choice. When you have too many items on the menu, the guests get overwhelmed and they feel a little lost. And when they feel lost and confused, hashtag write this down. When the guest is confused, you lose. That's going to lead to lower sales and also reduced satisfaction because now they have so many options. And then problem number 4, poor pricing strategy. Pricing is not just an art, but it is also a science. Most restaurants either price too low in an attempt to attract a lot of guests, or too high and you alienate people. Without a pricing strategy that considers everything in the elements it needs to be, which is understands my food cost, understands my marketing demand, understand guest psychology, understand I'm matched up with the right person on my marketing team, make sure I'm doing all this stuff. It's really, really perfect. Then you're going to lose money because you don't have the pricing strategy dialed in, right? So of the 4 problems, here are the 5 principles I want to discuss today, right? 5 principles to profitable menu design. And again, it's not just about having, the right dishes. It's about creating a balance between the aesthetics, the profitability, and functionality. So I'm going to give you 5 key principles. Write these down. Ready? Number one, simplicity and focus. One of the most crucial elements is you got to keep your menu focused. I prefer smaller curated menus, allows me to excel what I do best at. Also reduces my operational, overhead complexity, and it maintains a consistent quality food, right? Why does that work? Because when your menu has fewer options, guests make decisions faster. You can concentrate on making each dish exceptional. Also helps with inventory management, reduces food cost waste, and also helps keep labor costs lower. If you don't believe in a small menu, go to In-N-Out Burger. It is probably the best example of how powerful a small menu can be. Right. Principle number 2 is cost transparency. You have to understand the exact cost of every item on your menu. This is called theoretical food cost. You have to cost out everything on your menu. This principle, when you understand what your theoretical is and you understand what your actual is, you understand that gap, you can actually add easy money to the bottom line right away. Okay. You have to understand you do not want to maximize, you do not want to kill your profits for a sale. Right. You have to be aware of your food cost, and you have to, again, price strategically, ensure every dish contributes meaningfully to the bottom line. Now, some dishes contribute more to the bottom line than others, but everything should contribute to the bottom line. If you have an item on your menu that's not contributing profitability to your bottom line, it has to be taken off. It is killing your restaurant. And so many times you have it on there because it's an ego-driven decision. You like it. Some people like it. It's very, very popular, but if it doesn't make you money, it has to come off your menu. Right? Principle number 3 is that emotional connection. You have to write menu descriptions that evoke emotions. And also, you want to create that connection to the guest. Words matter. The way you describe a dish can transform it from a simple to a must-have experience. Now, how do I do this? I mean, I love to write, so I use a lot of descriptive language. So like items like, let's see, artisan, house-made, freshly sourced. These things are, adding perceived value to the dishes. And then principle number 4 is strategic placement. This is where you lay out your menu to your advantage. You have to understand your menu is like real estate, and you got to put your best items in the best pieces of property on your menu. Certain areas on your menu are going to really, really draw eyes to them. Some items on some place on the menu are going to have people not really look at. Menu design has a huge impact on profitability. I have a whole workshop on menu psychology and menu design in our Extreme Menu Makeover workshop, right? And a whole hour just on each. Because menu psychology is a very, very powerful tool. Right? Placing profitable dishes in highly visible areas, using visible cues, boxes, fonts, icons. These things all help you get the attention that item needs, which is also going to help stimulate sales, which is also going to put more money to the bottom line. And then principle number 5 is try to cross-utilize as much as possible. Right? Cross-utilization is a smart approach to reducing waste. Here's another problem, though. Sometimes we cross-utilize by putting too many of the same dishes on the menu. Be aware of what's known as menu cannibalization. When I put too many of the same items on the menu, we start cannibalizing that kind of category on the menu. I see this in Asian restaurants a lot. I see this in Italian restaurants a lot. They'll have like 20 different chicken pasta dishes. What's the top 3? Put those on the menu. Doesn't mean you can't run the other ones as features, but they don't all need to be on the menu. Right? Take your most profitable items, the items that are your home runs, and build your menu around your greatest hits. Okay. That is the key. Those 5 principles: simplify and focus, cost transparency, emotional connection, strategic placement, and then cross-utilizing ingredients will help you dial in all this stuff. Now let's talk about the 7 possibilities that you can do. Okay. The The thing I want you to remember is that you can blend creativity with profitability. You don't have to sacrifice one for the other. It is entirely possible to create a menu that is both artistically fulfilling and financially successful. Is it easy? No, but it can be done. The key lies in the interplay between that creative and the scientific side of business. Here are some possibilities I want you to consider. Number one, strategic menu engineering. We always want to do this every quarter. You should be doing a strategic menu engineering workshop every quarter. That's all about analyzing each dish on the menu and what its stratification is. It is a star, a puzzle, a plow horse, or a dog. And then taking that data and redesigning my menu to maximize my profitability. Strategic menu engineering will add 3 to 5% to your bottom line every time you do it. No shit. It is a game changer. Number two is you got to use that menu psychology. Once I have the data for menu engineering, now I take that data, now I redesign my menu to actually draw attention to those high margin items. I'm using stuff like boxes, again, icons. Taking the dollar signs off is another huge thing. You know, people spend 8% more if you take the dollar signs off. It's crazy. Right? Number three, innovate, yet have cost-effective dishes. Remember, you don't have to choose sometimes between creativity and profitability. You should be able to tap into kind of your culinary expertise and create dishes that are still innovative, but still cost-effective. There's some great meats out there, things that are slow cooked, short ribs, all kinds of great food out there that you can do that actually is comfort food, could allow you to be creative, but also still have a really, really cost-effective dish on the menu. Probably my best seller at my restaurant, my second restaurant, and my first restaurant, I put on this roasted poblano meatloaf. I want to put on a meatloaf, but I want to have a Southwestern spin. So I put in roasted shallots, roasted garlic, roasted poblano chilies. And we made this really, really beautiful, beautiful meatloaf. And it sold like crazy. It was a great dish. I gave a lot of portions on it because it was cost effective for me. People loved it. I piled a big, huge pile of, crispy onion rings on top of it. So people saw it come to the table. It looked like this tower of onion rings and meatloaf love on mashed potatoes. It was amazing. Sold like crazy. And the food cost was super low for me. Every time I saw it go out the window, I was like, yeah, that's great. Right? Possibility number four, optimize your pricing. Remember, pricing isn't just about covering costs and making a margin. It's about understanding guest psychology. Right? You can use, there's techniques we teach in the Extreme Menu Makeover, like charm pricing. Charm pricing, instead of like putting an item, instead of at $9.95, I just, instead of saying 10, you could say $9.95. You could say $9.45, $9.75, whatever you want to do. Charm pricing is where we change the pricing a little bit. Anchor pricing is where I use a higher priced item to draw attention, give them a little sticker shock, and then I put an item underneath it. We call that priming. Okay. Priming and anchoring are huge psychological techniques you can use. And then number five, you should have a bunch, at least 3 to 5 signature dishes. Dishes that no one can do but you. These are the dishes you want people to talk about. These also should be the items that bring in the most profit. You want to make sure these signature items reflect your brand. They tell a story. They are cost effective, and they can be sold at a price that is significantly contributes to your bottom line, right? Like my roasted poblano meatloaf was a signature item. No one else had a roasted poblano meatloaf in my market, right? Number 6, check for seasonal updates and flexibility. Make sure that your menu is fluid, that can easily be moved around. Don't be so caught up on items that you have to have it and then you're willing to pay any price. Be flexible with seasonality, right? Check with your vendors, like what produce is coming in market that's going to be a good deal. What produce is coming out of market, it's going to be higher, it's going to have a higher price that I need to look at. Seasonality, when you start adjusting your menu to seasonality, it really helps keep your costs down because number one, you take advantage of peak season items, which are usually more affordable and also better in demand or better in quality, also in supply. Okay. And then number 7, make sure that you're looking at kitchen operations. Creativity should never come at the cost of efficiency. A well-designed menu uses ingredients in multiple ways across multiple dishes. It reduces waste. It streamlines kitchen operations. If you've got one item that requires one piece of equipment and one set of like starches and garnishes for that, rethink it. That's not being efficient. Okay. And we've all done it. I've done it too. Trust me. I've done it too. Okay. Now, where does the rubber meet the road? This is where art meets science. The ultimate goal is always to craft a menu that excites the guest, reflects your unique personality, and also drives profitability. Remember, you don't need to sacrifice art for science or vice versa. You want to make them work together. How do we do that? Tell a story. Every dish tells a story. Every dish should reflect your vision and your brand, whether you're farm to table, comfort food, your artisan Italian place, your fine dining, whatever it is. The story your menu tells will resonate and make a lasting impression. And here's the thing, you got to tell your story visually. It means get on video, tell your story about your dishes, how they were inspired, how you make it, show behind the scenes stuff, and put that stuff on social media. Okay. Another thing you want to make sure is you have to have that strategic menu engineering, pricing, and smart menu design using that psychology stuff. That will maximize all your profits. Your menu, again, should be your greatest, most profitable hits. Another thing, when we start blending this art and science together, the ultimate goal is to enhance that guest experience. Guests are more likely to return, you know this, when they feel good about their dining experience. It doesn't mean just great food. It means a seamless, intuitive, enticing menu that leads them to make decisions they feel confident about. And then finally, the ultimate goal is you want to have something that supports sustainable growth. Remember, a profitable menu doesn't just feed the bottom line, it ensures longevity and the sustainability of your restaurant. What do I mean by that? When your costs are in check, your margins are healthy, your guests are satisfied, you're setting yourself up for long-term success. All right. You got to make sure all that stuff is in alignment, because if it's not in alignment, you're going to be really, really short today. Right. Yeah, digital menu boards, great. We have a digital menu board in our counter restaurant. They are in need of a refresh. Do you have a digital menu board company that you can recommend? I don't really have a digital menu board company I recommend. I mean, there's a dozen of them out there. I would say find someone who has the look that matches your brand. There's some really cheesy ones out there and some great ones. The biggest thing about digital menu boards is you want to have something that's very visually enticing. Okay, McDonald's, if you notice, McDonald's changes their menu boards a lot, and they add a lot more graphics, a lot more visuals, a lot more pictures on their stuff. Their menus have gotten smaller. As the menu gets smaller, they also put up more visual images. Payway is the same way. Look at any of the big brands that have really good digital menu boards, and you could actually just go on like Pinterest and type in Pinterest best digital menu boards, and you'll get a bunch of good ideas. I always like to do like research before I'm like changing up my digital menu boards. I would do a lot of research, and what I do by research, that means is I will check out and see like what companies are out there right now. They're doing some really cool stuff. There's also some really cool, now this is gonna go off topic a little bit. There's some really cool AI out there too. And there's some AI stuff that has facial recognition. So when people come in, there's cameras behind the digital menu board that can read someone's face. So like Luke could walk in and it would read his face and it would know what kind of age group he is, what kind of demographic he is. And it would actually start flashing items on the menu board, LTOs, that are drawn to him, what his demographic is. And if he's been to my restaurant before, it might actually start pulling up data. So it's crazy stuff. AI is doing some crazy, crazy things with digital menu boards that you can actually tap into and actually start using. The number one thing to do for a digital menu board, it's just like anything else. It's got to be visually stimulating, right? It's got to be profitable. You can use a lot of the same tools and techniques we talk about in Extreme Menu Makeover with digital menu boards. Right. I've designed a lot of digital menu boards for restaurants. So if you're in the accelerator program, if you're in the accelerator 2.0 program, all you have to do is just send over your menu to your coach, and then have them ask for me for a consult, and then I can consult on your digital menu boards. If you're in the accelerator 2.0 program, you get consulting with me, all right, on some of your stuff. It's included in the deal. Menu design is not something you want to just blow off. It is not just about putting items on a menu and just like hoping for the best. You got to have that strategic plan. You got to have those things in order. Okay. You got to have menu engineering. You got to use menu psychology. You got to make sure you have some innovative yet cost-effective dishes on your menu. You got to make sure you're optimal priced for what your market is. You have to have some signature dishes, not too many, not too little, kind of like the Goldilocks thing. Got to make sure you're using seasonal updates, being flexible, and then make sure that everything in the kitchen flows seamlessly. Does that make sense? I love menu design. It's probably one of the things I'm really, really key on. So the biggest thing you want to remember is that designing a profitable menu is the ultimate blend of art and science. It does require creativity, strategy, the ability to actually see the bigger picture. The problem isn't that restaurants don't have great food. The problem is that many don't know how to turn that great food into a source of profit by using their menu properly. You know, the possibilities are definitely endless if you approach your menu design with intention. That's the big thing. Menu design should be with intention. That's where you're starting to look at the right blend of culinary innovation with strategic pricing, with also smart design layout, and create a menu that not only reflects your soul, but also is a driving force for your profitability. Okay. Chad put in the thing, screencloud.com. Looks good. I haven't heard of ScreenCloud, so. Now, before we go, let me ask you a question. I want to explain the difference between, somebody emailed me last week and asked me this question. Now, I'm on the restaurant growth webinars. What's the difference between that and coaching? All right, well, that's a pretty good thing. So think of coaching programs kind of like flying a plane at different altitudes, because each altitude offers different details, different focus, and also different impact. So the top level, like what you're listening to, like 40,000 foot, that's like a book, right? 40,000 foot is like books, podcasts, YouTube videos. At that altitude, you're getting what's known as a broad experience. It's a great way to understand general concepts, some general theories, get some ideas, but it's very, very high level. I mean, you can see the big picture, but you're not close enough to see the finer details. That's the 40,000 foot view. That's like if you bought any of my books, you listen to my podcast, you watch my YouTube videos, that's the 40,000 foot view. Now, next up is kind of what you're at, right? 30,000 foot view is like webinars. This is where you're a little bit closer to the ground. You're starting to get some viable tactics. You're starting to get some good strategies. You start to implement, but you're still, you're still not really putting the rubber to the road. You're not getting that practical advice and that coaching when you go off track. And this level is great. Webinars are great if you have two things: great habits and discipline. If you have a lot of great habits and you're really, really solid about implementing stuff and you have discipline to make yourself do things, then the webinar program is perfect for everybody. Okay. Perfect. Now, The 10,000 foot view, a little bit lower than this, is what we call like group mastermind programs. When people get into a group mastermind program, they're getting serious. This allows you to see the terrain more clearly. You can see the houses and stuff like that. You have group accountability, which is awesome because now you have at least some people to hold you accountable. You have access to more tools, and you can actually tackle more complex problems. I mean, you're still a little bit above the ground, but hey, you got a lot more actionable insights and a little bit more accountability. That's where it starts happening. Now, on the tarmac, this is when the plane's actually landing. This is what we call one-on-one coaching. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is when you're on the ground, you're fully immersed in our unique operational tools. You're also immersed with your own challenges. We're giving you tools to fix your challenges. It's very, very one-on. It's very customized, has the maximum accountability. You have a full arsenal of tools. And this is where you also see the most tangible and also the faster results with one-on-one coaching. Okay, that's like when the plane lands. Now, there's also an element called immersion programs. Immersion programs, I would say, think of an immersion program as like I'm pulling you out of your restaurant for anywhere from 2 to 3 to 5 days, and I'm putting you into an environment where all you can do is learn. This is called immersion events, right? This level of coaching is real intense. You get a lot of information. A lot of times when people come to my restaurant success summit every year, the biggest thing they say is I felt like I was drinking from a fire hose. It's a lot of content thrown at you in a short amount of time, but it also gives you great resources because you're surrounded by other restaurant owners just like you that are having the same problems. It's a great thing. I love immersion events. I love getting you out of your restaurant where you're not distracted. Thing about being in your restaurant is most of the time you get distracted. You get distracted all the time. Like you just sit down, you want to work on something, you get pulled off, or you get distracted, or someone calls, someone wants to have a meeting with you, a vendor pops in and wants to show you something. It's always, always chaos in the restaurant world. Now, what does a well formulated coaching program look like? It should have 4 elements. Any coaching program you decide to get into, it should have 4 elements. It should have some kind of on-demand learning, like an online library where you can go in and look at modules, watch videos, get downloads. It should have some kind of group coaching where there's a group call each week, at least 1 or 2, where you can get on, talk to people in the group, ask questions, see other like-minded restaurant owners, ask your coach questions. You should have some kind of accountability. That's where you have the one-on-one kind of coaching where the coach knows your story, your issues, your challenges, and they're working with you one-on-one to help you break free from where you are. And then that immersive training. You should have at least a program where they pull you out of your restaurant from anywhere from, again, 2 to 3 to 5 days to get away and just immerse yourself in learning about how to be a better restaurant owner. Now, for the last 14 years, these coaching programs I teach, they've helped over 2,900 restaurants. And the reason is it gives you the tools you need. You need accountability and you need new tools. Okay. I would say that coaching, to me, it's like getting a personal trainer at the gym. I know what to do. I know I know how to lift weights. I know what weights to lift. You can give me a routine and I can go it. I get better results when I have a personal trainer who helps me get an extra rep in, who actually says, hey, man, you could do this, you could do that. I would say like having a coach is like having a personal trainer in your back pocket for your restaurant. They're going to push you. They're not going to settle. They're not going to take your excuses. That's what they're paid for. They help you get results. And that's the one thing that we do. Oh, yeah. I would always say, if people say, what is coaching all about? One thing, results. That's what we get paid for. We get paid to get your results. And whatever your results are, we'll make a customized plan to get the results you want. Right? I had a client who we were like doing an interview and he was sitting next to me. We're doing a podcast. This is quite a couple of years ago. And someone asked him, so what's coaching like with Donald? And he said the statement right back. He goes, what's coaching like with Donald? It's like running your restaurant on rocket fuel. That's Sean. He owns a couple restaurants out in LA called Upper Crust Pizza LA. He has just done phenomenal. He is definitely an example of what to do when you take the 3P framework and you plug it in and actually utilize the tools, the sky's the limit for you, right? So the accelerator program is the fastest way to get from where you are to where you want to be. It is a roadmap. It is people, product, and process. Inside your members area, you will get tons of tools. I will give you more tools, more videos, more downloads, more things than you can ever remember. I'm going to give you tools to help you with personality, hiring better people, understanding culture, how to do your food costs, how to get that menu dialed in, how to use that menu engineering worksheets, how to actually start getting that organic content going for your marketing game, how to have every download you needed to be successful. Also have all the downloads, all the systems in the right spots, how to have your strategic plans lined up, how to get that profitability to that 18, 19, 20% and higher margin, and to have the accountability with a one-on-one coach, one of my handcrafted, hand-selected certified restaurant coaches. It's over 200 hours of downloads or 200 hours of video and 380 downloads. It is amazing. No hard sell here. If you want to talk to someone on the restaurant goes to team support, they'll talk to you about it. All right. Now, before we go, is there anybody have any questions that you want to ask me? And I got one last thing before we wrap it up today. Any questions? Any questions? Could be about menus, hiring, whatever you want. I'm an open book. Any questions? Yeah, we guarantee 5% increase in 90 days. All right. Guaranteed.
While you guys are typing up your questions, I had put a couple messages here in the chat box, guys. If you want to go ahead and you want to join the coaching program and you haven't already, there is a link to sign up there. If you are not ready to join, but you want to talk with me about it, if you want to, go through some more details about it, you can ask Donald right now.
Mine too, yeah.
He would be the best guy to ask. Or you can Slack me and happy to talk with you one-on-one as well about it. If you're ready to rock and roll, there's a link right there. After you paid that first month invoice, you immediately get